Hey everybody, welcome live to the Jim Masters Show, live entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series. I know some of you are probably very excited. I'm sporting that famous hat once again, that hat that I started this series with 4 years and 1,100 episodes ago, which is amazing. I can't believe we've done that many shows together here on JMS in Lovely Hall. But hey, it's so cool, it's so great, it's so grand, and thank you for joining us here. We have an extraordinary guest, a wonderful, acclaimed singer, songwriter, pianist extraordinaire, somebody who loves music and loves sharing it with the world, and especially in a beautiful Stretto piano. We'll be talking about her wonderful ways that she immerses herself into music and some concerts and festivals and so many cool things that are coming up. She's coming into our broadcast from the West Village in New York City, and we're so excited about that. For those of you here on the East Coast today, at the time of this show, it was close to 90 degrees here in the northeastern United States. It was very warm and toasty, kind of like beach weather. Kind of early for that, but hopefully that doesn't mean it's going to be extremely too hot this summer. Wherever you are watching around the world, thanks for joining us. We are coming at you live here in the New York area. Jim Masters in the host chair, as I always say, reporting for duty. And hope you're having a good day wherever you're watching around the world. So our very special guest, again, is somebody who absolutely loves music, a composer as well. And she is a teacher of music, a coach. And we are so excited. Hope you're excited too. Feel free to interact with us while the show is live in our lovely whole chat room. Be sure and, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give the episode a like. Leave a comment for us as well. We love when you do that. And we thank everybody who's been doing that as well. Time to welcome our very special guest to the show. Hannah is, again, incredible. Hannah Reimann. She has been doing this for a long time, and she is, in addition to being a phenomenal singer and songwriter, pianist, she's an actress as well, composer. She's also founder and artistic director of the International Stretto Piano Festival, which is something really cool. And of course, Stretto Piano Concerts. We're going to talk about all of this. Very, very exciting what's happening. Stretto Piano Concerts hosting its annual International Stretto Piano Festival. That's coming up, actually, just a few days, May 25th through June 4th, with in-person concerts around the globe and online concerts. And the festival celebrates the Stretto piano, which has narrower than conventional keys and makes piano playing more equitable for those with smaller hands, including children and female performers. And with a Stretto piano, small hands could do what the big hands do. It's now in its fourth year, and the concert and festival series is really incredible. They're the only performance platforms in the world that, after a choice of piano key size, to international performers designed for them too. And we're really excited to tell you about all of this and to have our very special guest, Hannah, joining us here on the show. It's going to be featuring lots of incredible performers too. And this has traveled across the country and beyond, but there is this very special festival performance that's coming up. So we're going to tell you about that. Our very special guest has performed all over, and she's paying homage to and celebrating another extraordinary artist, none other than the one and only Joni Mitchell. Yeah, the music of Joni Mitchell is celebrated in this fantastic celebration and festival. And we're really excited about telling you about this. And of course, there is Hannah. She performs everywhere. She's been doing this a long time. She's an absolute professional. And look, even at the bitter end, we've got this fantastic image that we wanted to show here. Some other images of past performances and concert events and celebrations. And there she is in front of her beloved piano. It's a beautiful sound, too, if you've never really focused on it. This is at 54 Below as well, which, of course, is an iconic place. I've been there many times. I've master ceremonied several concerts for lots of dear friends and colleagues. It's a wonderful place. If you ever get a chance to catch a show at 54 Below, be sure you do. It really is a spectacular place. So Hannah is here again. Music is in her blood. This is something that has come to her early in life, and she continues to celebrate it and really honors the Stretto piano in such a glorious, glorious way. We're excited to have her here, gang, and we're excited to have you here as well. We'll tell you about the festival, talk about Hannah's extraordinary background, projects, cool things as well that she's working on separate from this festival, and everything else as we welcome her live to the Jim Master Show, coming to us from New York City, the Big Apple. Here she is, Hannah. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello.
So have you here.
What a wonderful introduction, Jim. Thank you so much for that.
The pleasure is all mine.
That was mind-blowing. Yeah. The first thing I'm going to do is hold this picture up so you can see all the beautiful people at our music festival. That's our international crowd.
Tell us about some of the folks that are in the photos there that are joining you. It's really an amazing exclusive event.
Well, okay. So some people might know David Amram. He's right here. He's 93 this year. He was Jack Kerouac's closest friend, and he's a famous composer. He was resident composer, first resident composer at Lincoln Center when Leonard Bernstein was there, and at Marlborough when Rudolph Serkin was there. So he's playing, we're featuring his piano-related chamber music and a piano sonata that we're reintroducing. It's going to be recorded by Thomas Weaver, who's up here at the top. This year, he's a professor at Curtis. So that's just one of the wonderful concerts. We have everything from jazz meets classical to my pop Joni Mitchell show. We've got this beautiful little 7-year-old child prodigy who's playing her first ever piano recital. She's won 3 competitions since she was 4, and she plays beautifully. And the little keys on the Stretto piano are really enjoyable for her, as they are for Julia Siciliano, Julia Furlan over here. People like me who have tiny hands, who play virtuoso music, and just decided, you know what? I think I want to save some time and energy and just do this right on an instrument that really suits me.
What is it about, and I love piano in general, but what is it about the Stretto piano, this particular piano, that speaks to you, where you've made it such a focus, not only in sharing the music with us, and folks, I just want to let you know that Hannah is going to be playing something for us as well as a special treat. So don't go anywhere. You'll hear some live music. She's got that beautiful instrument sitting right next to the right of her. What is it about this piano for you, the specificity of this appreciation for it, that just resonates with your heart and soul, Hannah?
How do I put that into words? I had my piano rebuilt in the 1990s to have smaller keys because nobody else would do it. I had to have it custom made for myself with a keyboard company that makes keys for Steinway and Sons. And I wanted to know how it felt. And then I kind of understood how big people feel when they're playing the piano, how they don't have to do this. And there's less thinking, less strategizing. There's just like the pure joy of creating music. I mean, I love all pianos, and I've played the big fat keys, as I call them, my whole life, and I continue to. It's part of my career. But there's some pieces that I will only play on the Stretto piano because there's some pieces where I can't actually reach the chords. You know, my fingers are too small to reach certain chords, and I don't want to compromise them. I don't want to leave notes out. I want to hear the richness of the music. So I guess that's the short answer.
Did you grow up, were you surrounded by a musical family? Did you grow up with music in your household? What was some of those earlier influences for you, Hannah?
I did. My father was a very good amateur pianist, and he had a harpsichord in his study. He played the organ. He was very musical. He would sing to us. He would play the accordion at every birthday party. And he really was my first teacher of classical music. I had like the neighborhood piano teacher for a year or so, and then he taught me some Bach minuets and Fiorelisa by Beethoven just by rote. And it was a true love between us, of sharing, and a language that was not, not words. It was a musical language that he would communicate to me. He was born in Berlin, so he grew up hearing a lot of great classical music. And he heard my teacher's teacher, Claudio Arrau, who, I don't know. It's just like a circular thing, you know. It's amazing that that wound up happening to me. That this man who he heard a lot in Berlin, because Arau lived in Germany. Later in my life, when I became a professional, I worked with German Diez, a man who studied with Arau. So yeah, I did have a lot of musical influences from my father, and my mother was this voracious, culture hungry Korean lady who brought us to concerts really like since I was born. And concerts, theater, art, museums. My parents were very, very cultured people, so I feel like I was lucky to have had that from a very early age.
Did you grow up in New York?
I was born on the Upper West Side. Actually, I was born in the French hospital downtown, but my parents were living on the Upper West Side. And not long after I was born, they moved to New Jersey. And I grew up in a little town called Springfield. Um, but, New York has been my home for so long now. But I have to say, New Jersey's a really nice place. I spent quite a bit of time there when my dad was ill. I lived in two states for a while I was taking care of him. So, I don't have anything against New Jersey. I love both states.
That's it, right? Exactly. The whole tri-state area. And then you've got a place up in Maine, which you said is a nice getaway, so you can get away. How does going up to Maine inspire you? It really is a beautiful place, the geography, the nature, the topography, the peaceful nature of it, the fresh, clean, cool, crisp Atlantic Ocean. And how does nature and surroundings of life, as an observer of life, appreciator of life, influence what you do and your music?
It's so essential, Jim. I mean, I think we all as humans need nature. The real us, like the true us, comes out when we're in around trees and water and flowers, and we get to really know ourselves again so deeply. I love New York City, but it would not be the same for me without those breaks when I go to Vinyl Haven Island, where I have a little cottage, our family cottage. I've written a lot of music up there, but it's really just a way of spiritually recharging my batteries and, yeah, more oxygen, health.
Right, exactly. Starry nights and
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, lots of those. And a few maybe marshmallows, on the barbecue, maybe a couple of s'mores here and there.
And the wildlife, there are these three seals that come to our little cove on beautiful days, and like I long for them. I long to see those seals. I don't get
Uh,
lonely when I'm alone up there. There's so many animals. There are eagles. There's, you know, beautiful, beautiful creatures. I even saw a mink once.
did you really?
Pandemic. Yeah, I moved there for 3 months during the pandemic, during 2020, because I just thought if I'm going to teach remotely, why would I do that alone in New York in my apartment when I could do it with all the animals up in Maine?
What a great idea. How cool is that, huh? Now, was the piano the first instrument for you, or did you learn another instrument first? It's amazing when I have conversations with folks on this show or anywhere else. Sometimes people will say, well, I'm known for, the saxophone, but the first instrument I picked up was a violin or a flute or a guitar. How about for you? And would you say a multi-instrumentalist, or is it just really a primary main focus on?
Actually, when I was two, I could sing. I was this back when I was a kid, it was not normal to be in preschool at like 2, 3, the way it is now. So I was really very, very young compared to the other kids, and I knew how to sing. So that was my first instrument. I was asked to get up and perform when I was a toddler. It didn't go so well, though.
What was it? London Bridges Falling Down, or do you remember the song?
I have no idea. I have no idea. My mom was a shrink, you know, and my mom told me later on, you know, I showed talent as a singer as a toddler. So I knew later in my life I would become a singer, but it really gave me a lot of performance anxiety. I think
Mm,
one of the reasons that I teach is that I had that experience of just my mom told me personality changed completely from like this happy little kid to just being completely closed off and quiet. It just like killed a part of me that like if you perform prematurely and it's traumatic, it takes a while to recover. And I had a lot of performance anxiety. I was not interested in performing. I was just interested in playing. Um, and you know, when I was 6, 7, then the piano became my instrument, and I was very, very comfortable with that. But somehow, you know, I would always join bands. I needed to sing. I needed to sing, and I became a professional singer after I became a professional pianist.
and what were you singing? What was the music of choice back then for you?
Oh, you mean when I was like in my first bands as a
Yeah.
preteen? Um, I was so shy, you know. First, my friend Amy, her name is Amy Horn. She wanted me to be in this band with her, and we sang "Day by Day" from Godspell. We
Day
sang,
by day.
yeah.
Yeah, great
And
song,
we picked
actually.
up our flutes. I also played the flute. We
You
played
did
our
the flute
flutes
too?
together. We played in harmony. We did "Nights in White Satin." We did "I Feel Fine" by the Beatles.
Hmm.
Um, man, that was so much
Very
fun.
eclectic, right? Eclectic
Yeah, yeah,
choices. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we loved the Beatles. I
Hmm.
think we did some other Beatles stuff, but it was not like a, you know, we were like 12. It wasn't really a real band yet.
When did things start to brew for you where not only became extra immersed in the musical world, but doors started opening. People started noticing how good you were, and what would be one or two key moments in your life that really pointed you in the direction of some very cool things happening, the trajectory going along like this, and then because of these things that happened, things really just started to skyrocket for you, because it takes time. It's like fine wine, takes time, but sometimes there are some things that happen in our lives that either come out of the blue or that we've worked hard for, or a little of both, and it takes us from point A to point B in a beautiful way.
You really ask interesting questions, Jim.
Why, thank you.
And yeah, you're welcome. And this like would not have come to my mind if you hadn't asked me. But I think it gave me a lot of confidence when a woman named Eve Cuervo, something like that. It was so many years ago. She commissioned me to write a piece for a showcase at Avery Fisher Hall, Lincoln Center, that was about children. And she wanted me to write a piece of music that would celebrate kids and that could be, you know, in the voices of kids. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have to do this. But it was such an honor for me to write a piece of music that was premiered in Lincoln Center. And I just had this, I think she said, you know, children and beautiful voices and angels. And I wanted some boy soprano to sing the piece. So I wrote it for piano, viola, because I was married to a viola player and I loved that instrument, um, bass, and boy soprano. And then we had two women singing harmony with him. So I was not a singer then. I was a composer and pianist. I hadn't really become a singer publicly yet. That was life changing for me, not because it was, you know, the New York Phil or some famous orchestra or so, but because I had an opportunity for my work to be heard in this big hall, and I wrote it, and people liked it, and my husband and I at the time we really enjoyed doing it. And I wrote a piece called Angels, and it encouraged me to keep going and to think, actually, I am a multi-genre artist, and I shouldn't feel embarrassed about that, about playing classical music and pop music, or writing something that sounds kind of pop in between those things. That was one thing that happened. And then the other thing, of course, was that I met Paul Coletti, who was my husband back then. And we were together for close to 10 years. He's a well-known viola player, and he changed my life. I quickly became this jet-setting professional, traveling all over the world with him just to be with him. And I couldn't practice as much, so I started composing, or I was performing with him. And we wound up arranging a lot of music together, and we specialized in the music of Astor Piazzolla, who I was quite obsessed with. And our arranging that taught us to become better composers. And it was a huge shift for me. It was very exciting for me.
Do you have a preference? Do you prefer being the musician, the pianist, the composer, the arranger, versus being the singer or out front? Or do you enjoy all of it?
I enjoy all of it.
Yeah.
I like to play and sing at the same time, but I've really, really come to love singing with the band since I started the Joni Mitchell project. And I'm so excited to be playing with my band tomorrow at rehearsal and next week for our next show. I mean, when you're an artist, I'm sure it's been this way for you. You don't know what's around the corner. I never thought I'd become a filmmaker. I've made 2 films, and now I'm planning to make a documentary film about this, since we already have like 80 concerts recorded. So I think you need to just be open when you're an artist, and do the best you can at whatever creative inspiration you have. And it's sometimes it's a practical need, and sometimes it's really a spiritual need.
You mentioned the filmmaking part, which I think is a cool thing to dive into a little bit. That's a whole other art form, and having been involved in some of those myself, and behind the scenes, on camera, all of it, even being in that editing room for hours, which really, you got to have some Alka-Seltzer with you when you're in there, because you're just editing is really tough thing. And all my colleagues that are editors, God bless them, and if you get to edit it as well, then it can be really daunting, but a beautiful thing. The filmmaking part, is this something that you would also like to expand upon? And what was the very first film you worked on, and what was that like for you? Did the bug bite you? You want to do more of that?
Well, actually, when I was in 3rd grade, it's either 3rd or 4th grade, my teacher was an amateur filmmaker, and I used to stay after school and make stop motion 8mm film, like 1 frame at a time. We did claymation.
Like,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Kind of like Davy and Goliath and Gumby and Pokey and all those Christmas specials that you see.
Yeah,
that's very tedious but extraordinary work. You did that, huh?
We did claymation, we did photo montage, we did food. We had like food being eaten by itself. And then eventually we started shooting each other, people. But I don't know what happened with that. I did that in summer school. That really affected me. Working, I would stay after school every day, and I was just fascinated by the process of film. Like it took so long to get 10 seconds, 12 seconds, 50 seconds. We worked so hard. We were literally snipping and gluing. I learned how to splice. So those memories stayed with me. And my first music video was actually shot on 16 millimeter film.
Was it really? Wow.
Yeah, and that was when Paul and I got married. We instead of spending any money on anything else, we made music videos on film. We traveled all over Scotland and went to uninhabited islands. It was a dream. And I've always loved filmmaking. I've always wanted to, be involved with it, but there's only so much you got to divvy out the time, and it comes to you when you need it. I needed to make a documentary about my father and dementia because I needed people to know about this disease.
Was that the first one? First sort of professional one? Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful to do that.
It wasn't. There was
another one?
I started making my father's house, and then I made a 5-minute film called Destroying Angel, which is about drug addiction, because I lost a couple of female friends to addiction, and I was so mad. I really wanted to make a little film without any dialogue. And it was at both of the films were at festivals.
Was your music also weaved in for effect or for?
I composed music for my father's house, and we had classical music, and actually Paul helped with that. He played viola for it. But Destroying Angel, the song that it goes to is written by my friend Neil Cabana, who lives in Los Angeles, who's a producer and a wonderful songwriter. It's his song. His song is the only sound for the whole, I don't know, it's like 5 minutes, 40 seconds, something like that.
Oh, that's nice. That's beautiful. The power of music for underscoring and things of that nature. I've had that conversation. If you watch, films, and you watch even television shows, even some of your favorite television shows that we all grew up with, and those iconic themes and those underscoring moments of transition from scene to scene, and how they can really play a pivotal role in heightening what your eyes are seeing and what you're feeling, and can also heighten the depth of the feeling that they want to convey because of the sound of the music that's surrounding the visual. So that's a beautiful thing. I've done it, as a hobby as well, with home videos, family videos, tribute videos, all kinds of things. And then some of it in my professional work in television, radio. And it's tedious and it's arduous and it's emotional. And I did it for a relative that passed. We did a whole 2-hour tribute video, all these photos, all of these transitions. And one of the hardest things about doing it, and we showed it actually at their funeral, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Even the pastor came up and said, "I've never seen anything like this. I felt like I knew her personally," and all of these things, which was, as somebody who's doing it for somebody you care about, those are beautiful words to hear. He said he felt like it was his own grandmother or something like that. And the use of, the music and the transition of the visuals and all, it can be very, very powerful. The hardest part for me was knowing, as I was watching it with everybody else as they were seeing it for the first time, knowing when it was coming to an end, when there were no more photos, there was no more video to add of the person that's no longer here. It was coming to an end. And that was really very difficult because, when I do things, I tend to do 110%. I'm all in, and it's got to be because I want people to, and this, you speak the same language. I like feeling. I like people not to just randomly, clinically, in a detached way, watch things. And I like some depth and warmth and feeling in it, even in conversations, some feeling in it. Doesn't have to be, all the way where we need to be laying on couches or anything, but just have a warmth and a depth, and you're left with something that got you to think, something that got you to remember, something that got you to feel an emotion that you will always attach to whatever it is that was created. like music does, one of the great healers, humor, one of the great healers. In putting that together, like the one celebrating your dad's life, I would imagine filled with incredible warmth and emotion.
Yeah. Well, when things get rough, I need to make things. And my dad became really one of my closest friends in the world. I lost my mom many, many years ago. And yeah, the experience I had with my father, making him my movie star, that was life altering too. Yeah.
You know, it's amazing when you talk about these things that we deal with in life. I've done probably for various folks, I would say it's about 6 eulogies.
Mm.
And another thing that's very hard not to only write, you're writing it, and it's amazing. And I know you get this as well. Something forces me, pushes me, compels me to do it. I have to do it. I have to tell their story. I have to do it collectively, and we're all together in a communal way and feeling the same vibes and feelings about this individual's life. And I've done 6 of them. And what's really interesting about that is I actually have relatives, some older relatives, that are actually placing pre-orders for me to do it. When I go, you're doing my eulogy. I'm like, let's not even discuss that. That's 100 years from now. You know, it's like, because they were moved by what they heard me share.
What an honor, because it takes courage. And I think that death is one of the most important things in life. And it's difficult for a lot of people to embrace it. So if there's someone like you who's willing to stand up and be strong and be poetic and give that's a gift, Jim. It really is.
I appreciate that. And, you know, as far as instruments, which I love, I'm a huge instrumental collector, aficionado. My first instrument was the violin when I was 13. And I've always enjoyed strings as well. And I love and appreciate all the instruments. And I love when they play off each other. When I listen to music, I tend to like my music. It's interesting. I don't mind headphones. And even when I'm on the radio, we have headphones on and all. But I really, really love my music when it is filling the house, when it's flowing from room to room, when it's sort of bouncing off the walls, when it has a warmth, depth, and just the acoustics are extraordinary, when it fills the room and it comes not necessarily in my face, or shoved in my ears, but it's like omnipresent around me. And I really, I've had this conversation with a couple of other folks in the musical world who said, "Oh, I get what you're talking about." Sometimes I actually like when the music is coming from behind me, when speakers or whatever is from behind me, because it comes from behind me and then just flows up and over me versus at, like, sometimes I like when it comes over and envelops. Does that make sense to you in some way? I guess that's a yes.
I get it. I definitely get it. Yes. Yes.
The
I
other,
mean,
yeah.
yeah.
The other thing too is I had this conversation with a Juilliard grad who was a cellist, and we were talking about the cello. And in addition to the piano and the flute and some of these instruments we've talked about, I love the sound of the cello too. And there's something about that sound of the cello that when I hear it, it stops traffic for me. It just, the warmth, the depth, maybe that melancholy feeling, that texture, that sound. So I said to the Juilliard grad, I said, who was a guest on our show, I think about a year ago, I said, "Now I'm going to throw this out there. It may seem a little left field, but because you are the professional cellist, but maybe it'll be something that you grab onto." I said, whenever I hear the cello, it just, because it's so warm and deep and melancholy and whatever, it sort of sums up life in a way. Sometimes it just stops things for me, and I really pay attention to it and feel it. And I said, if the human heart ever made a sound replicating an instrument, to me, the cello would be a wonderful representation of the sound the heart would make. And the cellist said, "Oh, I get that. I get that. I get that." I'm like, "You do?" I said, "Yeah, because the cello is one of the instruments closest in sound to the human voice. And this is why you're humanizing the sounds of the cello." Matt, you gravitate towards that as well?
And the viola too. The viola is slightly higher, so it can be even closer to a woman's voice, but the cello is definitely a man's voice, and yeah, I get that too. How it's warm and inviting and ingratiating. It makes you feel good when you hear the cello, right?
It really does. Yeah, it sort of summarizes a lot of things, especially if you're during holiday time too, and holiday music. It's very, very warm as well. How did you come up with the Stretto piano concerts and the idea as the founding and artistic director of the International Stretto Piano Festival? Tell us about all of that. That's quite exciting because, like I said, you've really made this a big part of your life all this time.
Well, actually, I have made it a big part of my life, but this is the time that I'm making it the biggest part of my life because I now have a 501(c)(3) called Stretto Piano Events, Inc. And we are a unique concert platform, the only of its kind in the world, really, that gives people a choice of piano key size. So my goal is to make a venue at some point, but just having concerts as often as possible is the best way to communicate the value of these instruments. If we just talk about it, if we just chat about it and argue about it, people have opinions. It's really different than hearing the music. Like you were just talking about the cello, You want to hear it and feel it and understand it in a very practical way. Um, well, how did this come about? Are you sure you want to hear? Should I give you the condensed version, or do you want me to go on and on about it?
Whatever you feel, we're here, and there's no clock ticking, and
Um, okay, I'll try to put it in a concise way. So I already told you that I had my piano rebuilt to have smaller keys in the 1990s, right? So then I was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal suddenly. My little picture based drawing was on there, and all these people knew that I had a piano with small keys, and people wrote to me and called me from all over the world saying, "I want one too. How did you do this? I'm struggling. I want to play this. I'm elderly now. I don't want to have to stretch." And it was so difficult back then in the 90s and the early 2000s to influence the piano manufacturers. They just wouldn't bite. Even though Joseph Hoffman, a famous pianist who was a friend of Rachmaninoff's, Rachmaninoff called him the better pianist. He was diminutive, and he had several pianos made by the Steinway and Sons Piano Company for his smaller hands. He was also an inventor, and he toured with these pianos. He was a wonderful musician, quite renowned. Even though they had done that back then, they just didn't want to give different sizes to different people. They needed to know that there was a demand. And even though they wouldn't start building pianos, since then, I've known all the presidents. They encouraged me. They put me on little assignments. They told me to look here and call there and travel here and go there, meet these Japanese people. I found pianos with narrow keys in Japan. Nobody knew about them. So it's kind of this unknown invention that many people have been interested in. And fast forward to now, there are over 200 people all over the world on 5 continents who have rebuilt their pianos to have small keys. They are clamoring to have these pianos built, and they're clamoring to play them. And I know from my work with Steinway, that this is the way to raise awareness that people need to play concerts. And this is our 4th year, and at this point, there are 4 lesser known manufacturers who are offering pianos with small keys to people who have medium size and smaller hands. And because people don't know about it, I thought, somebody has to take some kind of position of leadership, or in my case, like creating this 501c3, that's a concert platform that can let people know and that can serve as a kind of showroom. At the end of a concert, people can come up to the piano and try it and see what it feels like, see if they like it. And each year that we do that, there are more and more people exposed. It's not just because of Stretto piano events and Stretto piano concerts. There are pioneers all over the world who have done amazing things in Germany, in Dallas, in Australia, and people don't know about them. So I thought, there's power in numbers. There's much more influence available than if I do it by myself. I got this, somebody, a wonderful composer gave me a piece of music. Oh, so there's one of the manufacturers. That's Clavin's piano.
That's very, very cool to see, and here you are in front of this beauty right here.
Yeah. I'm a piano geek.
And I've performed. Look at the crowd there at 54 Below too, right? And the Bitter End as well.
Yeah, we had
a group of great folks there, huh?
Yeah, those are nice memories for me. Yeah, and several of these people will be playing with me next week. Yeah,
that's great. It takes a village. It really certainly does. And we mentioned, now there is this sort of teacher of a teacher of a teacher of a teacher, the sort of the Beethoven thing, as we talk about that fabulous, extraordinary, iconic individual in our lives. Tell us about that. The teacher of the teacher of the teacher. There's a whole string there that you can unravel for us.
Well, it depends on which direction we should go. I mean,
right.
we could think of it one way. So there was this man named Beethoven who wrote beautiful music, and he had a student named Czerny who actually recorded all these metronome markings of his pieces so that we know somewhat what the speeds are supposed to be. And Czerny had pupils, and that person had pupils, and they had pupils. And, there are a lot of us around in New York City and other parts of the United States, all over Europe. But not everybody has that lineage. And it literally is a way of passing down the way to play music before there were recordings made. The only way to pass music from Beethoven to Czerny was playing it, talking about it, teaching it. And Beethoven was very, very demanding about how he wanted his music played. And he would write these scathing letters to his publishers saying, why didn't you dot this or put this slur? And why didn't you have this not good enough? And then you look at his manuscripts and it's like, you can barely read it, So of course they didn't know what to do. But he had a specific way he wanted his music to be played, and that's been passed down over generations. And others composers' music the same way. So,
speaking of another iconic figure in the music world, Hannah, Joni Mitchell, tell us about your desire to celebrate, honor, and play Joni's music.
Well, that came really, the big inspiration came when my dad was really ill and when I was shooting my father's house, my film. I was so upset. I mean, at this point in history, probably everybody who's listening to this, probably you and people everybody's had dementia or Alzheimer's in their life, right? Have you?
Sure. A dear friend's husband passed at 69 of it. And we actually have an aunt who is originally from Vienna, Austria, who is in New England and is 96 and has it now. Mm-hmm. And she's an extraordinary person because when whenever on the radio, they have a Bose radio that they play that has music going at the house up in Massachusetts. And whenever a piece of music comes on that almost sounds like a little bit like a German marching band or something, she all of a sudden clicks into that. That's the power of music. Clicks into that and starts, ba 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 ba, and going as if she's in the band in a way, which is really truly amazing. It's triggering something maybe from her childhood or things that she heard growing up in Austria, where she could be looking out the window and smiling at the beautiful garden and asking who is who in the house. But then when music comes on, but especially anything that has like that kind of a beat, a Germanesque sound to it, she clicks right into it, and it's absolutely beautiful, breathtaking, and amazing to see.
Yeah, yeah. There have been studies on that, and I met a woman who does research into music and health at Berklee College of Music in Boston. I met her at a Brain Summit event in New York, and she was talking about how every person actually has a song or music from that time. It's usually their teenage or childhood years that stays with them for their life. And when they have brain issues like dementia or illnesses, diseases like that, it's a great comfort. My father sang the same Schubert songs over and over again, so many times that I decided to have a recording session with him, and we have a song in the movie, him singing a song called The Crow, Die Krähe. But for me, the music of Joni really, it was just a comfort to me when my life just seemed to be consumed by this disease. Like I said earlier, my mom died a long, long time ago, in 96. So I was my dad's closest relative. And when the sicker and sicker he got, the more and more caregiving I had to give him. And I lost my friends. I didn't perform. I stopped auditioning as an actor. It was really just my students and my dad. And I was quite lost. And I said to myself, I'm going to play this record Blue. I want to learn all the songs from Blue, and it's going to make me feel better. And that was the beginning of this retrospective that's now going on year 12. And 5 albums, or I don't know, 7 albums. We have over 40 songs in our repertoire now, and it's a labor of love in many ways, but it's very healing. And our show is really about an authentic performance of her music and her keys and arrangements. We don't do like a country version or a rock version or a jazz version. We do it the way she did it. I have an enormous admiration and respect for her. She's a composer, like Beethoven is to me, whose music I want to do justice to. I don't worship her. It's not like we're idol worship or anything. I don't want to be her. I don't want to, bleach my hair and put on the same clothes as her. She's a musician whose music means something to me, and I would like to do justice to it. So that's what I do with her.
Who are some other folks that you admire in the industry as well?
Well, whenever someone asks me that, I always think, well, the 2 composers whose music I played are Astor Piazzolla and Joni Mitchell. What do they have in common? They're in a class by themselves. There's plenty of people I admire, but it would be for different reasons. I admire James Taylor, partly because I got to know who he is from playing all this music and being able to talk about it at my shows. One of the musicians I work with usually sings Fire and Rain at our shows because he's got just the right voice for it, and he plays piano beautifully. Gosh, who do I admire? I admire people from all genres on different days and different months.
Yeah, different moods, different, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, I could
If
pull.
we came over to your house and we went into your iPod or stereo boom box, whatever it may be, whatever the player of choice is, what would be some things we'd probably find in the player?
Eric Satie, I love to listen to when I'm cooking. Um, let's see, what's in. I don't know if it's really representative who I am, Jim, but I'll take a peek. Um, Arthur Rubinstein, Piazzolla. I love Beck. I listen to his music quite a bit. Astra Gilberto, just because I sing bossa nova, so I like João Gilberto and Elis Regina. What have I got in here? I like John Adams. I love Radiohead. My friend Roland, he's a pianist. That's the Satie that I listen to. I like early Sia. Um, I like Horowitz. I don't know. I like Jaco Pastorius. I like I don't know. It depends on the day and the mood, and I'll pull. I can pull 100 rabbits out of that hat with that. I don't know what comes to mind now. I'm kind of engulfed in the rehearsal tomorrow, and I was just told that I had to. I was not told. I'm working with this marketing company, and they won't put me on this classical platform unless I'm singing traditional folk or playing a classical piece. So I was like, well, I can do that. Let's just do House of the Rising Sun. That's an old folk tune, and the band seems to be excited about that. So that's the next welcome challenge. That's kind of where my head is with music right now. If you have a show coming up, you're just kind of like,
that's the zone you're in. Exactly.
I have all of these shows too. I have all these people to think about and make sure that they're happy and that everything goes well. And
because you're producing it, putting it together as well, and it's a lot. Over 15 public concerts this year too at renowned venues, universities, studios, showcasing the strength of the international community, and that's really fantastic, huh? You just really. You've got recitals at San Diego State University and
I'm not doing it alone. Those are our partners.
Takes a village, right?
We're all doing it together. I got on Zoom calls or on phone calls with all these people all year, and I said, look, it's going to make a difference if we're playing live.
Oh, live is the best. Yeah.
Live streaming and pre-recorded. Nobody's going to buy tickets for those things. People want free online stuff, and they will pay for tickets in person. They want to be in concert halls now. We have to show them our movement by being there together for 9 or 10 or 12 days. And raise some awareness, let people know this exists, and continue and continue and continue. And at some point in the not too distant future, someone who plays a stretto narrow key pianos can go on a little tour, even if they're small venues. It doesn't have to be the biggest venues in the world where the Steinway pianos can't be rebuilt right now. It can be our network because we're playing them. And people should know that they have an option, that they have a choice of key size if they want.
Which is terrific. Some people may not even realize that they do, but you're getting the word out, which I think is such a beautiful thing. Speaking of playing, we were teasing our audience at the beginning, the top of our show. Did you want to play something there for us since you have...
What should I play, Jim? Should I play a Joni song, or should I play an original song? Every now and then,
I would say something original that then is I would do that because that's extra special.
Yeah, and I'm going to be releasing an EP in the summer. I'm hoping that the EP release party will be in July.
Nice.
So we have a little bit of time to market it. And this is an old song that I play just singing alone at the piano, but the release is going to have Brazilian percussion and like a flamenco type guitar.
Wow, that's going to sound incredible. I love that sound.
Yeah, I will send it to you. Okay, so it's called Mi Corazon. I haven't practiced it in a while, but since I should be able to play it, right?
Absolutely.
My love, that endless night when I found you has left me suspended while I am alone. While you're gone, so many times. Do you know how I wait and hunger for more? Mi corazón, mi corazón, mi corazón. Phantoms of you are here to remind me, touching me as I lay in my repose. I feel I'm in chains. Please don't deny me your sweet return. My sweet corazón. The stars are your eyes. The sun is your smile. The warmth of this breeze is your voice. Your soul is taking over me. My love, now I'm never without you. Near or far, feel you deep inside. Another sleepless storm, another chance to remember you, my sweet corazón.
Bravo, bravo. That is beautiful. When did you pen that? How long ago? That is
Long
beautiful.
time ago. It's been on the airwaves. It's been on the radio for probably 20 years. And you know, this sounds so crazy, but I'm kind of, oh, thank you. I got a thumbs up there. Uh this is kind of crazy thing to say, but I'm a little bit of a closet songwriter because I have not been so active at putting all my music up online. I was like disillusioned with the music industry. And I got a grant in 2019 to make an EP, and the pandemic slowed things down. My producer wanted us to take our time putting it out to make sure that it could get exposure, that I could perform. His name is Peter Rafelson. We've been working together for years now, and he's producing the EP that will be put out. And we co-wrote one song that I really love. It's called Take Me to the Sun. I look forward to sharing it with you.
That is fantastic. Wow. So, in terms of putting this festival together, um, how is the you've got all those incredible artists that are joining you as well, but how is the music selected for it? How does that come about?
You know, I really feel like giving artists choice and giving them freedom and giving them happiness and joy in what they're playing. I hate to say that, but it's sometimes kind of missing from the music world because everybody's put in boxes, everybody's told what to do. I mean, I was even guilty of that a little bit with one of the artists because I said, you know, you play so fabulously, but maybe we should do some Chopin because what is a piano festival without the music of Chopin? You know, like the ultimate piano composer. So largely, I ask people what they want to play, and we talk about it. We the international artists and the our partners who are playing in other cities and places. That's all completely up to them. But in New York City, I had, you know, many discussions with all of the people who are participating, and everybody's different is a thing. You know, you have to treat every artist like an individual and see what their needs and what their desires are, what's going to really make them happy. And then if you feel like, well, maybe that's not actually going to fit in, it's a little too late to add that, you negotiate, you know, but you do it in a loving way.
I like that little pause on that, the loving way, which again is a wonderful underpinning to what you do, Hannah. It's really fantastic. It's you and I were talking about how busy we are with our schedules, you know, all day long, every day. How do you balance it all? How do you fit it in? And what do you do? What are some of the things you're able to do to unplug, to sort of remove yourself from it and then come back at it, sort of rekindled, rebooted, refreshed? Because when you're creative and creative 24/7 and constantly thinking and creating and doing, you have to have some moments where you're shutting that off and just whatever you see in front of you, the ocean, the mountains, whatever's going on, you just let that sweep over you. What are some things that you do to sort of balance all that out?
I'm a big meditator. I started meditating in 2012 twice a day, and I make myself turn my devices off by 10 o'clock latest. I don't always succeed, but I stop working. You know, I used to work until the wee hours. I don't do that anymore. I get up early, and I meditate a couple of times a day. I I'm on an app called Insight Timer. Have you ever heard of Insight Timer, Jim?
No, I haven't.
So it's this incredible community movement also. So it's a, you know, it's an app on your phone. It looks like a singing bowl, and you go on it and there'll be this map and it says, you know, 6 million people meditated on this app. There are 40,000 people meditating right now. And it's amazing. I've made some friends up there, and one of them actually invited me to be a teacher up there. So now my music is on Insight Timer. People can listen to my music, and people actually get paid on this app. It's a very different app. It's like kind of spiritual social media. I hate to use that, combine them, but it feels like that sometimes. So I sometimes use Insight Timer. It also has like a singing bowl um, function where you can time your meditation and have have the sound of a bell at the beginning and the sound of the bell at the end. I don't always use that anymore, but I've had things like that have helped me become less driven for too many hours. I don't think it's healthy, you know? And
No.
I make myself take Sundays off. I can't really do that right now because we have this festival coming up, but in general, I take Sundays off. I have a car and I drive out of town. I'll just go anywhere and take a walk, you know, I'll take a hike. Um, I plan trips to Maine. I go to visit my sister in Atlanta. She has a beautiful house, and our the lady who raised us is Korean. We're half Korean, and the Korean woman who raised us still lives with my sister. She's outlived my parents, and she turned 94 today. Today is her
Wow.
94th birthday. And I was
Wow.
that's another thing I do. I get on
What's
the
her name?
I call her Ajimuni, but that's kind of a generic name. Her name is Mancho Lee.
Well, happy birthday to her from Jim Masters and all of us, all the viewers,
Yeah,
all the Lovity viewers watching around the world.
lovity.
Yeah, isn't that cool? I say it often, but I said the show has a lot of light, love, and levity. And during the beginning of the pandemic, YouTube goes crazy when it hears that word, so I whisper it. It's like, don't say that word. So when that first occurred, I just said the show has a light, love, and levity. Because in the beginning, when I started the show, it was just me talking to camera. I didn't have all the guests and everything. It was just because I work full time in this world. So I just wanted to just chat with everybody and just say
Yeah.
hello and do whatever. And then all of these folks wanted to come on the show. People I've interviewed, on PBS and elsewhere over the years, and all these fabulous guests come on like yourself. But I said the show has a lot of light, love, and levity. And all of a sudden I stumbled on it and I said light, levity, love and levity, humor and love together. And from that day forward, our viewers said, all right, that's it. Whoa. Sold. You are now Mr. Levity. We designate you Mr. Levity, not a
Mr.
king,
Lovity.
but Mr. Levity. This
Love.
is Levity Hall. They're the Levity Squad, and our guests are part of the Levity family. During
Oh,
these crazy times, what else could we need but more love and laughter, right? Levity.
yes.
So it's just something that sort of slipped out of my mouth that sort of took on its own life. And the show has elements of that throughout it, which I think is a beautiful thing. And you definitely are a levity on the Jim Masters show because you're spreading the levity through everything that you do. Why do you love this so much? You're very passionate and enthusiastic. You're an expert at it. You're skilled. You're well versed in it, but you love it heart and soul. Where does that come from?
You mean the Stretto thing or music? What do you mean?
Both. I
Everything?
see passion and enthusiasm and commitment to all of that. Definitely the Stretto thing, but just music as a whole and what it can do for our world.
Where does it come from?
Within you, the passion, that inspiration, the blessings you have to commit to it so deeply.
Wow, you ask such good questions. I don't know. I think this is just who I've always been. I feel as if music is a great communicator, and we live in such troubled times, you know? We live there's so much conflict going on now, and music, it's not like you hide in it, but it enhances life. It makes life better. There was this New Yorker cartoon of life without Mozart that was like a desert, you know? Um, I can't imagine a world without music. It's just who I am. When I became an actor, you know, I spent a lot of time acting and studying at HB Studios here, just a couple blocks away from where I live now on Bank Street. And I was still playing music. I was still making music, but then I had this whole other dimension. I think it really helped me become better at singing publicly, you know, studying acting. And I have this idea that these are healing arts.
Yes.
You know, they're like, when you're an actor, it's very direct, because the audience or the people who are experiencing the drama, they're feeling the same feelings that the actors are feeling, and it purges you of the bad feelings. It helps you go through the feelings, like, you know, like the spiritual masters tell you things like that, like you feel a feeling to its nth degree. You just go there and have the courage to face an emotion, even if it's a very dark one, and then it becomes distilled. And people's favorite songs, like they live these feelings through songs, through singing, and it's a healing art. That's my, I guess that's my, the biggest reason. I want people to be happy. I want people to be healed. I want there to be less unhappiness and less conflict. I want there to be more peace and harmony and beauty in the world. And, you know, we find each other. We're kindred souls. We find each other and we put it out there together. And maybe together we can just make it a little bit less hard than it is sometimes, right?
I agree 150%. It really is. And you are, as they're saying, you're a very talented lovety. You definitely are, my friend. And music is good for the soul. Absolutely. It really, really is. And, you know, and it's also something that's greater than ourselves. Do you ever feel like, you know, I have a lot of folks that do various creative things who say things to me like, well, you know, Jim, when I wrote the book, or when I pick up the guitar, or when I do whatever I do, whatever they do, because our show has people from all walks of life, all genres of life, not just acting or music or TV
Right.
or everything. I am the conduit. I am a facilitator of an energy greater than myself, whether
Agreed.
it's a divine or whatever it may be, whatever they feel it is. They feel like there is energy that comes in and through them and comes out through what they do. You feel the same way?
Agreed. Agreed. And after you write a song, it's almost like it doesn't even belong to you anymore. It just came through you, you know? Totally agreed. And sharing that energy and giving other people energy, yeah, you're doing it, you know, with your show here too. And I want to know what your answer to your own question would be.
I feel such power and energy from things that are greater than myself. And I've mentioned it 1,000 times on this show, but even before I ever started this series, I'm a big, big music person. One of the phrases I say that I'm sure appreciate is, I don't smoke and I've never smoked. Did I ever try it? I tried it once, coughed, didn't like it. So it wasn't for me. You know, when you're like 17, 16, whatever. No, thank you. But my cigarette is music. Music is my cigarette. Music for me is a must. It isn't just a pleasure. It isn't just something that is here and there. It needs to be heard at least a couple of times a day, because there's so much. It's medicinal. There's so much that I get from it. My ears just are so in tune to it, and it comes in and it goes here and all over. And so music, and I feel, you know, when you're listening to a full orchestra, and you might not even see the orchestra in front of you, you're listening to it, you know, on a download or a stream, a record. We have a lot of those. A cassette. We have still a lot of those. A CD. And you're not even seeing the performers. You're just hearing what they've created.
Right.
It seems so much larger than yourself. And you're sort of handing over control to them to create the sensations that you're going to feel. The other thing is the ocean for me. Growing up, you know, here on the East Coast with the ocean nearby, the ocean, so powerful, so beautiful, giver of life. It could wipe me out in 10 seconds if it wants to, and I understand that, so I appreciate it. But swimming, surfing, boogie boarding it, sailing it, walking in it, floating in it, tasting the salt in your mouth and that whole thing, it's greater than me. It's far more powerful than I could ever be. And I like sometimes being surrounded by things that are communal, very communal, something that we all have access to, like humor, like the ocean, like music, and ties it all together. But it's larger than me. I have the things I can do and I can create and share, but these things are larger. When you go out to nature, when you go out to a botanical garden, whatever it is. So for me, I would say there is that conduit of energy. There's a whole story. I'm probably going to do something on it. People say I should do a mini film on it. I should write a book about it, about an experience I had driving alone after a television shoot I was on, alone through Death Valley.
Oh, wow.
In August.
Oh, wow.
From Nevada to California and back, alone in a rental car with nobody knowing I was going to do it. I didn't even know I was going to do it. Something kept bringing me to the entrance of the Death Valley sign. And I just was pushed in it by these energies, Mother Nature, Earth, and a divine pushed me in there. And it was life-changing. It was extraordinary. It was like 4 years ago, and I'm still like floating from this incredible alone self. I'm somebody who's, we're around a lot of people all the time, and we're doing and giving and sharing and creating and nurturing and all the rest, the world. This was self with self and these energies, and it was incredibly powerful. And I had music on that my eyes became like a movie camera absorbing it all. And then I had music on the radio in the car that matched what I was seeing visually, like we were talking about earlier, when you put things together with visual and audio, the music, and you create this sort of movie-like thing. I'll tell you one quick thing, but enough about me. You're the guest, but still, these are conversations.
No, I'm very curious. I was very happy to hear about that.
When I was a kid, I, very creative. I always drawing and instruments, and we did plays in the garage, my sister and I, and had the neighborhood kids over. We did all that kind of stuff to bring people together. I used to go to sleep when I was in my big bed in my bedroom. And when it was like, good night, and I'm like, I don't know, 9 years old, maybe, I would lay in the bed getting ready to fall asleep. And what I would do, and again, maybe this is part of why I do what I do in this industry, I would lay there in the darkness and I would slowly close my eyes like my eyes were a movie camera. And this was the conclusion of an episode of a series that I'm in, my series, my life. And today we are concluding this episode of this series. So my eyes, like a film or a TV show or a video, would fade to black. I'd slowly just close my eyes, and that concluded today's episode of my life. I was already aware of that kind of thing early as a kid. And then when I would wake up in the morning, my eyes would open up slowly. Here's the next episode of my life and whatever's going to happen in it. So I was always cognizant of that and always did that early on as a kid.
That is adorable. That is just adorable. Wow. I love that story. I wanted to share something with you because you were talking about an orchestra and how you feel the music and how it changes you. Do you know about Daniel Barenboim's East Western Divan Orchestra?
No.
Do you know who Daniel Barenboim is?
Yes, but I didn't know about the orchestra.
So years ago, he and I think Edward Said assembled an orchestra made up of Israelis and Palestinians. And I heard they played all the Beethoven symphonies at Carnegie Hall. I went to hear them play the Ninth Symphony. I heard the Seventh, the Eighth, and the Ninth Symphony, I think in one concert. I was in tears. I was so moved. Just the idea of having those people making music together, this music of love and peace and harmony and brotherhood, it was overwhelming. And I just really hope that they can continue to do that now.
You know, and I miss this experience because you don't really have it anymore. Not like you did pre-pandemic. And that's going to a movie theater, and no matter what was going on in people's lives and what's happening in their day, when we're all sitting there watching the Titanic and listening to Celine Dion's voice and listening to, you know, the incredible orchestration of the soundtrack and the theme and everything, and the visuals on the huge screen with everybody in their seats with their popcorn and their Raisinets and Goobers or whatever they have, just knowing that we're all there together in the darkness, and what's going on the screen, all the images, the visuals, the acting, the production, the music put together is sweeping us off our feet. We're engaged in it. We're feeling for the characters. We're hearing the sweeping music. And for that fleeting moment, we are all one. When the Titanic starts to sink and we're seeing what's going on to human lives, people trying to help one another and people not making it and all of these kinds of things, it puts it all into perspective. And the music enhancing that, and knowing that everybody, as close as possible during that moment, is feeling the same thing. Maybe not exact.
Where did you see it? Where did you see Titanic when it opened?
We saw it, and it was really incredible. It was one that you talked about in the car on the way home. You talked about for weeks after. We were actually in Connecticut. We were in Connecticut, and it was family and friends and relatives, and there was probably about 15 of us.
Oh, wow.
And we all got the tickets, and we went, and yeah. I'm the guy in the car that when you do something like that and it touches you, I'm in the car wanting to discuss it. And other people may say, we saw it, it's done, that was then. You know, even if you go to a party, you go to a gathering, you go to a thing.
I want to talk about the movie.
What did you think about this? And or even if we go to a gathering, you know, with friends or family or somebody's party or whatever, or
Right.
a social event, you know, or even things in my industry where we go to these red carpet events or TV studio events or whatever, I'll want to discuss some of it. You know, what'd you think about that? And do you think we should have gone over and say hi to Judy more? And we forgot to say hi to Bob. And did you hear, what did you think about? And they're like, we're exhausted. We're done. The party's over. We're going home now. And I'm like, but weren't you impacted? You know, it's funny. I like to do life, but then I like to review a little of it. I like to, I don't know, summarize it, editorialize. I like to just feel it a little bit more. Perfect example, real quick. One of my favorite days of the year is Christmas for me. And it has been because it's been so celebrated in such a glorious way in our family, from every aspect you can think, from the religious aspect to the music, everywhere filling the house, the relatives, the family, the loved ones, the tree, the food, and you know, my mother and everybody, just even to this day, still, it's a massive thing. And the decorations and the greeting cards and the TV specials and the music all over the radio, and the stores are decorated, and people are in some sort of a communal festive mood, as crazy and busy and everything it is. And even now it's even more so, but back then a little bit, rewinding, just this build up to what was this very special time. And it touches upon you've got God in there, you've got family and love and gifts and food and music and all the things that are all these senses that are being touched upon all at the same time, and have always loved that day and all the things that come with it, building up to it, the lighting of the tree, months at Rockefeller Center, all these things that happen. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Then you throw in Santa Claus, boom. I always hated the day after as a kid, when the music stopped on the radio and everybody goes back to work. And, it's just, hey, can't we sort of extend the whole thing, all that work for one day? And can't we just extend it a little bit? So I do like to, discuss things, and especially if it's impactful. If you go on a family vacation and you go somewhere you've never been before, and it's extraordinary visually and culturally, and the food and just the whole buildup of going there, I want to, have it linger a little bit. And because it's so incredible, maybe I absorb a lot of things in a deep way. I tend to be a deep guy and a feeler or what have you. So things impact me. My number one question I ask in life is why, not the how, when, where, what, or who, the why. Because I think with the why, you feel it. And if I feel it, then let's figure out how we got the why and the what and the when and the where. Mm-hmm. Lengthy answer to your question, but I think you probably get some of that right.
I do. No, I have those. I've had many of those feelings, and you made me very nostalgic when you talked about Titanic. I saw Titanic on 86th Street when it opened. There used to be a big movie theater between Park and Lexington on 86th Street. I think it's a Dwayne Reed now. Isn't that sad? Not terrible, but it was this enormous theater, and I was up near the front. I'm divorced, but with my husband at the time, and it was unforgettable because of what you described. Everybody was just kind of spellbound. It's a long movie. The sound, the speakers, the whole sensation, the size of the screen. I don't see screens that big as much. They put lots of little screens in one big place now.
Everything is on your cell phone now. You can watch a movie on your cell phone. You can watch everything. People are watching this show right now on their little cell phone, which is convenient and fantastic, and we welcome everybody no matter how they're watching it. Okay, so I like a bigger screen. I like.
You know what? Now you've brought something into the picture for what I want to do. So I want to create this venue in New York City, below 14th Street. I don't want to compete with Lincoln Center and all that. Small venue that has 2 pianos or 3 or 4 that give people a choice of piano key size. I guess we're going to have to put a screen in there too, right?
Yes, I think so.
Friday night movies or something, or movies twice a week or something.
People right now are craving nostalgia. I mean, during the course of the height of the pandemic, people were baking bread. People were going through photo albums. They were pulling out old records. They were reading books. They were watching I Love Lucy reruns. They were doing a lot of things that made them feel good, that sort of made them feel like the ground wasn't splitting open underneath them as much as it seemed to be. And anytime they would hear everything that was going on in our world, and people were calling one another on the phone, and because everything stopped and everything paused, it was a great lesson in understanding what it's all about and the fragility of everything. For me, it was interesting because the things that people did during the height of that time when they were stuck in the houses and everything else, I was already doing all that since I was a kid. Like for example, they talk about empathy and emotional intelligence, and kindness and all of that, and how it's almost, some of that has almost become like branded, almost like, in vogue to practice these things. like now. It's almost like commercialized. And I'm saying to myself, that's how I've lived. It's not something that's new now because it's in the vernacular, it's in the vocabulary, it's what we're saying, it's the flavor of the month to be empathetic and compassionate and kind. We were built initially with those capabilities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Something came to mind while you were talking about that. The pandemic had a lot of silver linings, right? And that's actually the biggest silver lining for me was the Stretto Piano Festival. I don't think it could have existed without the pandemic. I was able to connect with 18 people from 4 continents, and we put all these concerts up over 9 days, and we had 400 people in attendance with zero marketing, and we made $10,000. I mean, that was like, wait a second, that couldn't happen now. And that was a green light for me to say, you would just be foolish to not acknowledge these people and do it again and do it again and see where this can go. But it wouldn't have, if people weren't at home with not as much to do, they may not have been as interested in connecting online that way with their pianos, make videos with us and band together on this online platform.
That's so very true, right? It's something that just happened. And there are so many. I started this series during that time, and had no thought to do that because I come from television and radio and broadcast and film and stage. Didn't, think about diving really into the internet world as much, but I said, you know what, let me do it, put something together here, let's throw it up in the air, see what happens with it. And 1,100 episodes later, we're doing it and we're going strong, and it's become a really beautiful thing and a pleasure, and having the opportunity to converse with folks like you who have these gifts that they're sharing with the world and inspiring others to see their gifts and share it with the world as well collectively is a grand thing. And I thoroughly loved the conversation, and I would love for you to tell us, how can people find out more about the festival and other things that you're working on? How can they make contact? We do have this website, which
a good one.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good one. And that /2024 has all of our concerts, all of the links to all of the tickets. If anybody's in New York and you want to come to Symphony Space, come and hear us on May 28th, 30th, June 1st, 2nd, and 4th. StrettoPianoConcerts.org. We have a Give Butter fundraising platform now that works with 501c3s. It's ranked the top platform on the web. So I did a little research. This is part of the reason I've been so busy, Jim. Like, the bank accounts, getting everything all together.
Yeah.
Paperwork.
You and I have tried to put this conversation together because of our busyness. And I'm so glad we've been able to do this, High five. We did it. High five. We did it.
Yeah, what a pleasure. So there's that. There's HannahReimann.com. And there's our Stretto Piano Concerts YouTube page, which will be streaming all the concerts, the ones from New York, and eventually everything from all over the world. So if you're curious about what we're talking about here and what these pianists sound like, Stretto Piano Concerts on YouTube, StrettoPianoConcerts.org, and HannahReimann.com. I will do my best to keep updating my website. It's been a bit of a trial, but
it's a lot of work, isn't it?
Juggling. And if you'd like to hear my music, you can find it there. If you'd like to hear a show of Joni Mitchell's music featuring a lot of songs from Court and Spark, that will be on the 30th, next Thursday, at Symphony Space with my amazing band. And just a huge, huge thank you to Jim Masters for spending all this time with me. I've really enjoyed it so much.
The pleasure is all mine. I tell you, it went by in a New York minute, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I always say, in a New York minute. Uh, yeah, this was really terrific. And like I say, these aren't interviews, these are conversations. And we
Yeah.
like to have fun. And, as long as the guest has, if you have a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, we just let it roll. Because I think people now get a good understanding, a little bit more about me, but they also know a lot more about you and appreciate what you're doing. So when
Thank
they
you.
hear you and see you, and they'll have an appreciation. Oh yeah, I remember she was on the Jim Master Show, and she and Jim had this extraordinary conversation, and she sort of expressed this and laid this out and described this, and now I get a real appreciation and further understanding of what she does and who she is and why she does it, which I think is fantastic. So come back and see us again. And I truly hope, as I always say, the show met whatever expectations you had, and you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you.
I had no expectation, and I enjoyed it was like a little holiday in the midst of all the things that I'm doing now. And I really appreciate it. And whoever is listening out there, thank you for being with us. We love you.
We sure do. Absolutely, my friend. We'll keep the porch light on for you. Thanks so very much, and congratulations on everything. I know you got a lot to do. You'll probably be up a little bit later tonight getting some things done. But thanks for stopping by the Jim Master Show. Spread the word about our show to everybody. And if you know other folks, and this will be archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. So if anybody missed it live, they can see the whole thing on the YouTube channel in the archives. Hannah, thanks so much for being with us. You're amazing, and it was a pleasure. And you are now officially a Jim Master Show lovity. Pretty cool, huh?
Yes.
You never know. You be well, my friend.
Hey. Bye-bye. Right. Thank you.
Bye. Take care. Hannah Reimann here on the show. How cool was that, gang? Great conversation. Amazing conversation with her. And again, you can go to her website. There's the spelling of her name. Just add the .com. And yeah, really cool. And celebrating the Stretto piano, which is made for smaller hands, which is such a beautiful thing, right? It's something very, very special. Great story, Beethoven. We even got him in there. Joni Mitchell. I mean, we pulled out all the stops and all the stars for this one. Hannah is a gifted, gifted person. And we really thank her spending time with us, time with me, and time with all of you. And again, if you'd like to learn more about the music, the concerts, the big festival coming up, and everything else that she and her team are doing to get the music out and bring us all together, you, of course, can go to StrettoPianoConcerts.org. We love having you guys here as well. Thanks for stopping by. A little homework, if you can. We would absolutely love it, and it helps our show grow. Give this episode a like, thumbs up like on the YouTube channel. That means the world to us. It helps us reach more people. Click like, the thumbs up like. Leave a comment for us underneath the episode in the comments section, not just the chat room, but there's a comment section underneath the episode. That helps us. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. That's where all the episodes are. And we really thank you for joining us here live on this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live series. And don't forget, you can also share this episode via the YouTube episode link on your social media as well. And to all of you who have done that and continue to do that, and all the new subscribers to our YouTube channel, and all the viewers around the world, and everybody involved, all the great guests, thank you so much for watching, being here, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. That's how this show you love so much continues to grow when you do that. So do that for us, won't you? As we continue to provide all this great entertainment and commentary and discussion with all of our fabulous guests. And if this was your first time watching our series, well then, from all of us here, welcome to the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. And to all of our tried and true faithful who are here with us day in and day out, thank you for being with us as well. We love having you here. You are all duly noted and very appreciated. Don't forget to love one another. Don't forget to take care of one another. And don't forget to take care of yourself. It's really important to do that. We're very excited about the guests we have coming up tomorrow. Wow, we have Petrie Hawkins Bird, who was Bailiff Bird on Judge Judy. He's returning to our show as well. And he's got lots to share and lots to say. And we've got the brilliant artist Amanda Cole coming up on Friday. She's extraordinary. It's just going to be an amazing continued week in, week out of incredible guests. So for all of us here, thanks for being with us. We'll see you on the next episode. We'll keep the porch light on for you as well. Jim Masters here at the Jim Masters Show live. We love you all. Take care, everybody, and cheers.